Excellent. Um, we are in unprecedented times, and these kinds of conversations are things that we didn't expected that we would needed to have, but we are finding that there are lots of questions from churches across the country about the best method of continuing to be the church in this time of social isolation. So we want to do a series of three town hall meetings like this, today, tomorrow, and Friday. Today being more about a technology side of things, what to do, what not to do, and some of the best things that are available to church, or technology available to church for using to take the church online and still engaging people with the good news of the gospel. Tomorrow, we will be talking more about being the church in this crisis. We know that we are followers of Jesus. Jesus is the one who touched the lepers, so he is the one who looked and engaged with people that were in need. And so how do we represent that kingdom mentality still and serve our community in this time of need? I think our community will need the church more than ever in these moments. So tomorrow is going to be about that. We will have Randy Friesen join us with stories from the global church and how they addressed situations like this where they had to be isolated, and how the church continued to be the church in times of a crisis. And then on Friday, we will engage with, again, with more practical issues. Issues of what are you covered for in this time, and what are some of the things that churches should be thinking about if there are layoffs coming to employees of the church, and also methods of continuing to encourage people to give during this time if they can to the work of the church. How do you do that? We have several churches, so 250 churches across the country with varying degrees of sizes and capacity. So we will try to address things from that perspective, both the bigger churches that will have more capacity, and then also smaller churches that will have some limited capacity in what they can do. The goal today is that we are going to spend the first few minutes, maybe 10 minutes, with Carson and Wamba presenting their research on some of the best tools that they have found for churches. And then we're going to open up to a real town hall conversation. Some of your churches have utilized some good tools already, and it will be good to hear from each other's experience, what worked, what didn't work, and also maybe some ideas of how to be engaging as a church in this time. So I'm going to just open with a word of prayer, and then I'm going to move it on to Carson. But before I do that, we tried playing a video loop at the front end, but the sound did not go through, apparently. That video loop simply said that if you can keep yourself muted throughout this, would be great. If you are having problems with a video, receiving video, then shut down your video presence, and your name will be there. The other thing is that if you want to participate in this, if you go on the bottom of your page, there's something that says manage, there's participants in there, there's something that says participants. If you click on that, you're going to see that on the bottom of that little window that opens, there'll be something that says raise a hand. If you press that button, that means you want to speak. I will see your hand over here, and we'll put you in the lineup of others that want to speak or ask questions as well. So, and then when we call your name, then you can unmute yourself, and the mute button are on the right side of your screen, on the left side of your screen on the bottom. Okay, and then you can unmute yourself. I know that we love to, type things to each other during this time. But if we could at this time limit the chat pieces to questions that may come until the very end, that'll be really good. This way we can monitor the questions that are coming in. If there are some questions, that'll be excellent. Is that understood? Is that great? Excellent. Let's just pray, and then Carson will take on from here. Lord, we give you thanks for your goodness towards us, and we know that you're not surprised by any of this situation, Father, that we are facing. It might be overwhelming to us, but you are bigger than anything. So we rest in that. We rest in your capacity to be God in these moments, and we invite you to teach us how to be your people in these moments. Help us not to panic. Help us not to spread fear, but instead, Father, to bring the peace of God, to be servants, Father, to a world that really needs us. So thank you that you are with us, that you encourage us, that you empower us. And I pray that even in this day, that you will give us the ability to listen to your voice through each other. In the name of Jesus, amen. So Carson, would you just lead us for a time of just sharing some best practices? Absolutely.
Hi, friends. Hi, friends. We're all in the same room, so we've got a bit of a technical issue to resolve, but if you can hear me, please just give me a thumbs up. Beautiful, wonderful. It's so good to see so many names and faces, and I think in tough times such as these, there's no better place to be in a community than in a community such as this, that we're helping and supporting one another. And I just want to come into the meeting with that posture and let you know that there's a few things we know and we've done as a conference and as communicators, but to be completely honest with you, we're learning on the fly as well. And a lot of what we've put together is still new to us. And so we're going to learn from you. We're going to learn from each other. I'll just start by pointing out a working document that Wamba and I have been putting together and continue to work on. It's just my printout here that I'm referring to. It's on my personal Google Drive space right now. It's shared for everybody here in the chat. It is a working document. We would ask you not to make any major changes to it, but Wamba and I will update it with the plan of turning it into a PDF that can be posted online, distributed widely to all of your networks. And what we talk about today, of course, will influence that. So you might be referring to it now, or you might not. If you prefer to concentrate on the discussion, then I will do a very quick overview. And the dialogue is broken into 3 sections. We talk a little bit about tools, then we go into resources, and we finish with platforms. I'll take a moment to go over some of the tools we use, and I'll hand it off to Wamba. The link is at the very top of the chat, and my friend Wamba is quick to add it throughout. So if you need a reference, there it is. Okay. If you're going to live stream, you need a camera. And what we use at the Canadian conference and have been using for about a year or more now is this little Mevo device. There was a time when the conference was on a larger platform and used a lot more equipment. We can't sustain that at this point in time, so we had to look for something that was a bit more within the budget. This is the Mevo Plus. I think it runs for about $300 US. We pair that with this base station, which is just called the Mevo Boost. It gives you up to 10 hours of battery. So for an event such as an Equip conference, this is important for us. It also gives you an Ethernet port and sound audio. That's very important for churches because we've had real success with this, and we've had some pretty rough spots with this, mostly based on audio. So if you happen to have the right people and the right tech to connect it to your board, you're in much better shape. So we have paired this with Vimeo. Vimeo bought out this company some time ago. And so they sleeve well together. The conference has one of the higher level platforms for Vimeo. I think it's $95 a month. But what that gives you is the ability to live stream. That's how we've been doing it. You don't have to use something as as involved or as expensive as this. We know we're on a real time constraint. Sunday is coming in just a few days away. And if you used something like this, that can still work. So we'll talk a bit about that. In the top part of the document, I talk about the cameras, but I also provide links to just some simple gear, something to hold your phone in place on a tripod, things like that. Hopefully that's helpful to you. I also have a link to a company that we've been using recently called Sonics, and that's for transcribing any of your videos. This is more of an after the fact thing, but it will help you to provide captions for the hearing impaired in your congregation. So that's an option as well. I'm going to hand this off to Wamba for a few minutes as he goes through the resources section and summarizes some of his findings. Wamba, take it away, please.
Thanks, Carson. Yeah, it's good to be with you guys today. I just want to start off by mentioning that when thinking about live streaming,
Wamba, I think you might be muted.
I am muted, eh? Okay, how about now? How's that? Can you hear me? Okay. Awesome. Well, it's good to be with you guys. I'm just going to mention right up front that when thinking about live streaming, one of the things that's key is to think of the vision that you have. So I know at this point, we're thinking of how we can possibly get services up online, even just for this coming Sunday or the next few Sundays. But it's helpful to ask yourself the question, is this something I might continue to do even after, these next few weeks? And that will help shape what options you choose for live streaming. I would also like to mention that oftentimes less is more. So the whole mentality of sometimes doing something on a smaller scale and doing it well can actually be more beneficial than jump into something very complex and kind of struggling with it. So I think it's important to keep that in mind and assess, do I have the people to do this? Do I have the manpower to do this? And then choose a system that works really well. Let me jump to the resources piece in the document. You'll notice there's a bullet point, the Gospel Coalition, and there's a link there to a really helpful guide. You can read through that, but I took a section of that link and pasted it in here, and it shows different levels of equipment that you can get. So there's a whole range from level 1 to level 4, starting off with like using your phone and using that as a camera, just setting it up, and then going all the way to some very complex systems with multiple cameras and some advanced audio equipment. And of course, the further up you go in levels, the higher up your budget needs to be able to put on a system like that. So oftentimes, when you're working with just a phone, you can get away with just mounting it on a camera, and the cost for that is very cheap because you're just loading it onto a tripod. Sometimes you're just using your audio just from the phone, or you're grabbing your audio source from like a mixer or something like that, and that is extremely cheap. Carson talked a little bit about the Mevo camera, and that takes your production quality up a little bit. It allows you to live stream directly from the Mevo camera to a service like Vimeo or YouTube. And that's taking a step up. And then you can go another step up with services like Boxcast, and you can look at that there in the document as well. And this is now where you're getting into some even higher end quality cameras and microphones and amplification. And then level 4, of course, is a very complex system with multiple cameras. And some of you might be doing that. But I would highly recommend sitting down and saying, what do we actually need? What are we trying to accomplish? And what can we do well? And then kind of gauge what level you're at and what equipment you need. I'm going to go further down to the platforms. If you scroll down in the document, we have a section called platforms. And this is another thing to consider, is where do you want to host your video live stream? There's quite a few options there. There's some familiar ones like YouTube and Vimeo and Facebook. Lula is a new platform. And the beauty about that platform is it really allows you to go live on multiple social media outlets at the same time, which can be nice because if you go live on just one social media outlet, there's a chance that not everybody gets the chance to tune in. I also want to note that for Facebook Live, it's really simple to use. That's the beauty about Facebook Live. But you want to be aware that not everybody on your page or group might get the notification that you're going live for a service. Facebook actually has like some targeted ad mechanisms where not everybody will get that notification. So you do want to keep that in mind as well if you're going to be using Facebook Live. Vimeo is very reliable and is used by many. There's actually a link in this document that goes to a live stream package from Vimeo, and lots of churches are using Vimeo as a place to live stream. And then YouTube, again, of course, is your standard regular. You want to note as well for YouTube that if you're going to go live on there, all you need is a verified account, and you should be able to live stream for free. And then the last option that we have listed in here, and I'm sure there's more, but the one we have listed in here is Zoom. And that's what we're using right now. And as you can see, it works great and is really good for interaction. And that's the beauty about Zoom, is if you want a space where people can actually talk with each other, whether it's through the chat group or through video and microphone, then Zoom works extremely well for that. Your video quality goes down because the purpose here is just to be able to have smooth video, and sometimes for that the video quality has to go down. So those are some of the platforms to keep in mind. There is no perfect platform. It's really more a matter of what do you need, what are you looking for, and what will serve you best. Is there anything else you want to add to that, Carson?
No, thanks. Thanks so much. Wamba, I appreciate that. I'll just take a minute or two to go over what we would see as our next steps and what we're going to do from here. So this, as I mentioned, this conversation will inform this document. We'll put together more links, more resources. I'm already seeing a lot of things on the chat. That's very helpful. The challenge in this is that it's a little hard. It is difficult for us to take a regional approach and to help province by province. We're doing the best we can, but I'd really encourage that people from this group could play the role of an ambassador in their province and step up to help and assist. We are definitely here to support, but would ask that you would assist in your own context as best that you can. So to that end, I think of another specific we haven't mentioned, and that's CCLI licensing. If you're live streaming, you need a different level of licensing. And I don't know how that works province by province, but in Manitoba, the conference office provides that for a group at a lower rate. And I believe the same happens in BC. I can't speak for every province. But you do need to be aware that if you're going to be live streaming, you have to have the proper live streaming license. So I have a couple of reps on the tail end of the document, one for BC, who is Wamba, for Manitoba, and another in BC who is Sandra. So email addresses are attached there. I would ask that if you have a particular rep or somebody who would be best at handling that in your region, that you throw that in the chat or email that to me so that we can make sure it's listed. So then the next step for us would be to take this recorded video. Another reminder that if you don't want to be online, you switch off your camera, because this is going to go up on our COVID-19 page on the MB Herald website so that it can be widely distributed. And we'll do our best to take the elements of the chat and turn that into a transcript that can be used. And then we'll just continue this conversation and do our best to help one another through this Sunday and the next. A quick story about last Sunday, at the tail end of the week, when the announcement was made for gatherings to cease, or large gatherings to cease, I got a call from the meeting place here in Winnipeg, who through some communication we'd had before, knew about our Mevo. They asked to borrow it, and so we were able to set that up for them. And I thought, as a way to segue into more dialogue, that I could hand this over to Joel from the meeting place, and he could just convey how that went for them and the experience that they had. And at that point, Elton will open it up for a wider discussion. Thanks. Joel, if you don't mind, I'm going to hand things over to you.
Yeah, sure. I'm not entirely sure how much I'll be able to help here, but I can give from the experience that we did have. So we did have a little bit of difficulty setting up the Mevo, making sure everyone can hear me before I continue talking. Yes? Yeah, okay, good. Other people have had problems, so we'll just figure this out. We did find that we needed potentially a secure Wi-Fi network to get this working. We had some trouble getting it set up, and we think that might be what it is. So that might be something that you want to actually look into, is getting something locked down. We did learn a lot through our experience, specifically with the Mevo camera, because we had never tested our Wi-Fi with something of live streaming. We decided that we would just bring it down to 720 720p to go out, and that actually ended up, it wasn't a big problem, but for some things of readability and whatnot, specifically with the Mevo camera, it just made the base version 720. So when you zoomed in using the features of that, it made it really grainy. So we actually just bought our own Mevo camera based on our experience. And so we're going to continue to experiment with that. But we did find that a lot of people ended up being able to read lyrics enough with it. And for music specifically, that was very helpful in having people being able to see it. So being able to see the lyrics on the screen. But we did find that what we did do is we got something called an iRig that we were able to connect sound into our soundboard. And sound makes all the difference. It made all the difference for everybody, that they found that being able to actually hear things, they actually felt like they were in the service. They weren't dealing with the same sort of limitations on sound. And so whatever we had with our limitations on our camera in terms of resolution, people are incredibly happy with that. We think that might partially be because you're going to have this grace period of about 2 weeks where people really want you to succeed before they start to nitpick. But the experience and the feedback that we got it was super positive. People loved having that experience. I actually got it working Sunday morning. So I had very little time to play around with the app and learn it beforehand. And within the hour, I was able to competently use the thing. I'm sure there's little nuances that I haven't been able to figure out, but we were able to get that going. I was actually even able to train a volunteer halfway through the service to pick up on that. So I found that, like, we're looking at moving forward with that sort of option. I'm not sure what else I can say on that at the moment. I don't know if anybody has any questions particular about our experience with that. Anything, chat? Yeah, and we actually, in this case, we did piggyback off of the conference's Vimeo page. So we were covered by CCLI. We had streaming platform already there. And so for this Sunday, we're going to try and using YouTube, because that's what we do for a lot of our stuff. And then we'll see how that works out. We're actually moving, because of this, we're moving away from a stage style setup, and we're actually moving into more of a studio setup using this one camera. And we think we're really excited with how this is going to go.
Thank you, Joe. One of the things we want to do is now listen and hear from one another. I'm seeing a lot of conversations already happening in the chat about people offering some ideas in here. Because there are so many people, I can't see all of you in my screen, and so I have 3 different screens that I would have to look. So for me to be able to know that you are wanting to speak, it would be for you to use that feature, go to participants, and then press raise your hand, and then I'll be able to know that somebody is actually wanting to speak. So let's open up, and I have a few hands already. Let's open up. I'm going to go to Craig Cutmore first, and then Marianne. I see Marianne next.
Hi, can you hear me?
I can hear you.
Good. I just wanted to share our experience here in Ottawa. Our goal was we wanted to be able to strip down so that in worst case, we could go to a single person in front of their laptop in their basement. So we're thinking long term. And we found a couple really good tools online. I reached out to a couple professional YouTubers who do live streams and found out what kind of software they're using. And the one that I came back to is a thing called Open Broadcast Platform. It gives you the ability to do really professional looking broadcasts with like picture-in-picture and slides and fly in and fly out, all from a single person. And it's free software, it's open source, and it's really well supported out there. And it's really easy to get up and running with. The limitation on open broadcast is you can only stream to a single target. So we added in the mix a thing called restream.io, which the way that works is you send your stream from your open broadcast software to Restream, and then on Restream, which is an online service, which is very minimal cost for it, it sends it to multiple targets at the same time. So we were able to very easily do Facebook Live and YouTube Live at the same time with no drop frames, and it was really clear quality just from my basement. came over, we used in my basement just a USB mic, my laptop, and the camera on my laptop, and we were able to get a really professional looking service.
Fantastic. That's some great ideas. Thank you. And if you don't mind, after you have raised your hand and you had an opportunity to speak, just go back and then, yeah, just if you can just, lower your hand, that would be great. Marianne?
Hi, thank you. We're finding that as people are becoming more and more nervous in their own homes, participation is really important. During Lent, even before the COVID crisis, we began using the free prayer app, Take Our Moments. It's an Anabaptist responsive liturgy. Take Our Moments, you can download it. We'd like to do daily prayers at 9 a.m. every morning on Zoom. So my question is, and we'd like to use Zoom for our Sunday morning service as well, somewhat like this. Using a responsive liturgy where the leader reads 2 lines of the scripture and then the congregation responds with 2 lines of the scripture, and it's all laid out already. And there are, there's a psalm, there's a gospel, there's an epistle. Can you help us, Elton, do an experiment here before we get to Sunday? If you say something like, "The peace of Christ be with us," and then we all unmute at the same time and say, "and also with you," what does that feel like? Because that's what we're going to be inviting our congregation to do. And I'd love to get the experience ahead of time.
Good. So let's do that. Let's try that. I think it would be a great experience. So if you want to go ahead and unmute, and then I'm going to speak, and then you will. Okay. Here we go. The peace of Christ be with you.
And also with you.
Yeah, so what my experience was, I could only hear about 3 or 4 people. I don't know when your context, but those are I think the loudest or closest that tend to get received. Does that help you, Marianne? Okay.
Thank you so much.
You're welcome. So before we go to Michael, you're next. But before we go to Michael, a couple of things about Zoom. So Zoom account, as far as we know, we have been looking at it even this morning. Zoom account, even when you have a Zoom account, you can only do one event at the time. So you know that. So if you're trying to do multiple events, then you will have some challenge. But you can get a webinar license from Zoom account. So if you have a larger church, and I think that you were able to have about 100 participants and up to 10,000 people that are listening to that and observing that. But so those are some of the things about Zoom, and that license for webinar is about $40 US a month. Okay, so we're gonna go to Michael. Michael,
how are you doing?
Good. How are you?
Good. We started live streaming here. We started live streaming here in Parliament Community Church back in the summer, and I've been doing it for the last 10 years in other places as well. And just some thoughts on cameras. Maybe you don't have to buy a camera. A lot of camcorders work as webcams, as do a lot of digital SLRs. And they give you, the SLRs will give you a phenomenal quality picture. And the challenge with the Mevo is it does not have a zoom range on it of any substance. So your camera has to be up front. If your stage is elevated, you either need to have it right in front of the speaker, which for right now is fine, but if it is long term, not the best. So I know in our church, we're looking for 20 to 30 times zoom as we look at upgrading our cameras from the camcorder we're using. And so that's just a factor to play in. And then for audio, a monitor lying out from the computer, monitored by your sound person, can often give you really good sound if you do that well.
Thank you, Michael. We'll go to Brian. Brian, Discovery Community Church.
Hi there. First of all, thank you so much for this. This is really helpful. We've decided for this Sunday just to do a video and post it, and then people can watch it whenever they want. But I really like this live streaming thing. We have been talking about moving in that direction if this postpones. One thing I just wanted to share, especially with Marianne's comment, I have done Zoom prayer nights where, especially I was in Ontario before, and with the snow, you get snow stayed. And so using Zoom for prayer nights, it's obviously more awkward than having it in person. But if you can help people to understand how to mute and unmute and all those kind of things, it really can be effective. And I know many pastors who have been already using it. We're going to be starting to use it this coming week as well. So just wanted to encourage you in that.
Perfect. Thank you. And now Paul Owen.
This is just in regard to Zoom. We checked this morning. If you have a pro account and you can purchase multiple administrators, and then you can run simultaneous meetings under one account. So we're looking at here in Alberta having multiple accounts so that we can help some of our churches so that it can be a little bit more cost effective. So it's possible to run multiple meetings at the same time. You just have to purchase that.
Thank you, Paul. Let me just ask you, maybe this question will. What are some of the things now? Some of you have done this now. Moved the church online this last Sunday already. What are some of the things that you have utilized to actually motivate people to be in community? So it's not just me in front of my computer, but we continue to be the church. What are some of the things you are utilizing? We go to Byron and then Joel.
If I pulled my Bree.
Sorry, Bree.
Hi, everybody. Hello.
Hi, Byron.
Brian, this is Brian Carpenter from Abbotsford. A question about Zoom and getting congregants to use it. Does anybody have any tutorials or learning objects that we could provide to our congregants so that they can get online easier instead of, us each all having to make them and type out instructions, right?
If there is any tutorial for using Zoom, right?
Yes.
Right. So for using Zoom. I'll look. Yeah, there might be something already. Carson is looking, and he might post that for you in a bit.
Thanks so much.
We'll put it on that same document.
Thanks so much.
Okay, Joe?
Something that we've had in our services for about the last year or two is we actually have a phone that people can text questions into, and then after the service, well, after the message, the teacher then responds to people's questions. We found that for the different age groups of our community, people were more comfortable texting something in than using chat software or stuff like that. And so that actually did create, it broke that fourth wall, so to speak, for us on Sunday, where people were still able to respond. We actually had more moments where we said, you can text in responses to certain things through it. And we were able to respond in real time just while live streaming.
Thank you, Joe. That's I saw that on Sunday. Spencer and then Steve.
Hey everyone, just got a question for those of you who did live stream either this past Sunday or previously, what your viewership numbers might have been versus what your actual normal Sunday attendance would be. I don't think everyone needs to answer that on video, but if you can maybe just throw that in the chat, what your viewership was and what your regular Sunday attendance would be. I'd be interested to know what the breakdown is there.
Perfect. So if you can answer Spencer on the chat and just give him some idea of what your viewership was, that'd be great. Steve, Dick.
Steve from Eastview Community Church in Winnipeg, and our experience this past Sunday, we did go live stream. We have a video switcher and a bunch of cameras, and we've been doing recording and uploading for a couple of years already, but live stream was new for us. A couple things we noticed, just to answer that first question, we live stream to YouTube, and YouTube has in the corner how many views you're getting at the moment. And what we encourage our congregation to do is to gather in their life groups or their care groups in homes to watch online and be together in community in small groups. So even though the number represented how many people or how many logins there were, it didn't really represent the number of people watching. That was one thing. The other thing we used, TMP, great to hear that you're using the text thing, and I knew that for a while, but we tried something called Slido. It's a free app, and then we asked people to download the app and then punch in a code and get in. The benefit of Slido is if people have a question for the sermon that you want to do afterwards or whatever, people can like the question and then popularity of question goes up. But at this time, what we discovered is the free version of Slido that you can't really moderate the questions. So we had a few comments coming in along the way that had nothing to do with the sermon, and that was a little distracting. So I actually like the idea of texting a little more, because then a moderator of some kind can read the texts, reply to somebody if they have a sincere question about something, but also then pick out some really good questions. Whereas with Slido, you're basically choosing the questions, and everyone that's in the app knows which questions you're choosing and avoiding.
Okay, good to know. Thank you, Steve. We're going to go to Rob Patterson.
Sure. Hi, Elton.
Hi.
And hello across Canada. We're finding that there's some demographic differences here, and so we're using Zoom to work with our young adults, and so for gatherings, so that they can be a little bit more interactive, and we're live streaming for our older folks. We're setting up a studio. I don't know, as you're looking at different people as they speak, you can see how important lighting is. So we have a proper sort of 3-light studio. So we're producing for kids, for youth, and then we're doing an all-church prayer night where we'll use both the Zoom and the live stream, again, for whatever demographic. So you can either be more interactive, or you can use the live stream, and we stream to YouTube, so you can comment. But our old folks, we're just glad if they can get on. But they did really well last week. We were about a 50% pickup on of the congregation was able to watch. And Right Now Media. So we're doing a ton. We're way over communicating and encouraging our folks to hop on and to use some of our Right Now Media resources.
Okay, thank you, Rob. So questions for you. One of the things that I saw churches saying, send us your picture of of how you are taking on the live streaming of the service on Sunday. So I saw that. I was actually, for the first time in a long time, my whole Sunday, I was watching services from across the country, because they were live and they were happening. So I would go from one service and for another. Don't like this worship, go over here. No, just kidding. But it was a fantastic way of seeing our churches in action and seeing what is happening. So a couple questions for you. One is how did you see the church actually? What are the creative ideas? We already heard two about texting, about Slido, about the questions. But are there other things, such as send us your pictures of where you are taking on the service? Are there other ideas that you have motivated your church to utilize this past Sunday, or you're thinking of anyhow? Hearing none. The other question for me is, so Marianne, let's go to Marianne. Go ahead, Marianne.
Well, here's an idea that we're playing with, and again, it is how do we create a network of support? So it doesn't have to be all pastoral, all focused on the pastoral team, but how do we encourage people to be seeing one another? So we're playing with this idea, and we'll figure it out for next week. But our pastoral intern, Anne, is going to be sending out the communication. She's making videos of people in the congregation. So encouraging everyone to send in a 30-second video, and then she'll put it together and put it up on Facebook. Monday, what might be Mondays in Motion. So how are you encouraging yourself to keep moving? So take a 10 or 20-second video of you walking or moving somehow. Wednesdays might be Winsome Wednesdays or something like that. Laughter is contagious. So take a photo of yourself smiling or a 10-second video of yourself laughing, send it to our intern. She's going to put a video together and then put it on our church Facebook. So just helping us be connected with one another in positive and encouraging ways that are lighthearted. People are tending to become more serious as they get more anxious. And so sharing the encouragement, that's one idea.
Thank you, Marianne. Brian.
I like Marianne's ideas about having a fun outlet for people to communicate and record videos. That's a fantastic way to go. Something that we're going to start working on here at in Abbotsford is we've got a smaller congregation, and our seniors in our congregation are a little bit more technically challenged than some of our young people. And something that we're going to do to work on tracking who we are making phone calls to is to set up a Google form and then record in that, who made the phone call to whom. So, say an elder phones one of our seniors, we can record that and, a brief context of what the conversation was, how they're doing, are they sick or not? And do they need any support? So that's one way that we can track and be able to not overdo communication with some and miss others. So, going through the phone book, we can look at who needs to be called and just make sure we're touching base.
It's really good. Thank you. In tomorrow's town hall, we will be talking a lot about pastoral care, how to provide pastoral care during this time. So, if you're joining us, bring us your ideas of, how you are creatively looking at providing pastoral care to your congregants during this time. We're going to go to Brian Martin.
Oh, I was just going to say, like one of the pastoral care things that we're doing already is we have split up the congregation and have people calling at least once a week to check in with them, to pray with them, to see if they need anything. And then we have a group of volunteers and they are ready and willing to deliver groceries, medication, any of those kind of things if there's a need. And this has been just so powerful, even in the first few days of this for us, because we can empower the people who are self-isolating to be the ones who are making the phone call. So they're not feeling like they are helpless, they're actually being helped. And that's just been incredibly powerful.
That's fantastic. Tomorrow we are going to release, most likely we're waiting for final confirmation, but out of the US there is a group of Christian doctors who created a document helping the church understand the situation and how to respond to this situation, how to create teams within their church. So we asked their permission to change some of the language to more Canadian language and to release that to our churches. And so far they have said yes. We are working on some other things here, but hopefully tomorrow we'll be able to release that to all of you. And it may be a tool that you will help you on that as well. How to be pastoral during this time. The question, this conversation has been really good, I think, in terms of helping each other. I think it also creates an opportunity for us as MB churches to come together and wrestle with this together. I think this is good. We want to do more of that. I want to leave it open are there any particular questions you may have? And this is for all of us. As Carson indicated, we are not experts on any of this. We are just figuring it out as you are figuring it out. Are there any questions that you may have? One that comes to mind, and some of you begin to address this, is in this using technology might be challenging to some of our seniors. So how do we address that in a positive way so our seniors continue to be engaged in this? So this would be my question. I don't know if there are others. Craig?
Hi. One question for everybody. I'm curious how many people have gone to a service that includes the full music and worship time, and how many have gone to just a sermon?
So maybe we can answer that on a chat. How many of you use the full service, which includes worship, and how many have gone to just sermon? Including worship and live events, as we said before, is going to require that you live streaming is going to require that you acquire new CCLI license. So just be aware of that. Spencer.
So as far as trying to make it accessible to your seniors, one thing you can do pretty easily with your website is if your church is running your website, if it's like a WordPress or a Squarespace or however you want to run your website, it's pretty simple to embed a YouTube video on the home page of your website. And so if you're going to live stream your stream to YouTube, I'm 90% sure you can embed a live video. Someone else can probably correct me, but there should be a pretty simple way to actually just put it on your homepage, so that the simplest way to tell people is, hey, go to our website, and if you go live 10 or 15 minutes before the service with just like a picture that says starting soon, or whatever you want to do, then that video will be right on your homepage, and hopefully most of your congregation can already get to your website and use it that way. Vimeo, yeah, I think you can do the same thing. You can embed from Vimeo. Anything that you're streaming to can probably just put it directly onto your website homepage, and that should be an easy way to get to it.
Good. Thank you, Spencer. Ryan, and I want to say to Ryan, welcome, Ryan. Ryan is probably one of our newest MV churches. Just came into the MV family in February now. So welcome, Ryan.
Thanks, Elton. It's good to be here, and it's nice to be in these conversations, not just as an observer from outside, but a full participant. So yeah, thanks. In regard to connecting with being accessible to folks who aren't active online, we do have a handful of seniors that don't use the internet at all. So my co-pastor had suggested writing up a transcript of Sunday's message and hand delivering it to them if they're comfortable with that. And then along with that, for those who can't join online, then either of us pastors, one of the elders, or deacons, we haven't arranged the details for this yet, but giving them a call on Sunday afternoon and intentionally spending maybe 15 or 20 minutes on the phone with them, reading some scripture, praying together, and just being together. And that would be a handful of like 5 to 10 people for whom that might be the case.
That's fantastic. For those that are in seniors that are shut in already in homes, I wonder if there is an opportunity to talk to some of the homes. And I don't know how they will receive this, but an opportunity for them to actually help them to engage with your services. We are going to Rob Patterson.
Talking about seniors, we're going old school and mailing a newsletter to them that'll have some, most of the basics from the Sunday. So we're also delivering by seniors to seniors, because a lot of seniors now, they're not wanting to leave their house, so we're getting younger seniors that will deliver this newsletter. But also we're also doing food and just communications and pastoral care. We're keeping it simple for our seniors because we realize that, so on our website, it's a simple link to log into the YouTube link. We found that a number of the seniors' homes have been willing to allow us to sort of do a live TV feed to their open areas. So so they don't have to do anything themselves, but show up in one of the lounges at a number of the seniors' homes in town to watch us. So we're going to the seniors' home and leaving notes on the windows of the healthcare workers saying thank you for taking care of our grandpas and grandmas.
Wow,
too.
great,
yeah.
Great. Carrie Dick.
Hi there. Am I on?
Yes, you are.
Okay, good. One of our challenges here is we run concurrent services, which are different worship styles, you might say. So live streaming for us doesn't seem to be an option because we have to choose which would we live stream, and our resources are limited. So we've been starting to think about how do we actually take advantage of the moment and think of the medium that we have now, and not so much replicate a service online, but build a conversation that we may either stream live or record, so that almost live podcasting, a little bit of teaching, interaction with a couple of people about application, and make it more conversational rather than trying to replicate a worship service, because there's not people in the room. We don't have the dynamic of people in the room where the service is alive because of our being in proximity with each other. So we've been trying to think of how do we shift our thinking and what we produce, what the kind of content to make that reflects the medium and the moment that we have. So other ideas that people have on that, I'd be interested in hearing.
Good. We have about 9 minutes left in our town hall here. So if there are any other ideas, or if there are any other questions, this is the time for us to talk to each other. Marianne?
One idea that I learned from a neighboring congregation that we're just structuring now to practice is to set up a schedule. Families have children already with excess energy and they don't know what to do with all the energy. So they can block off an hour to come to the church, go to the basement, not touch anything in the nursery. All our sports equipment is locked away. They bring their own balls and they have to wipe down the door handles afterwards, but they can run in the basement for an hour and then go back home and somebody else can use the church space. So it is a large space where excess energy can be burned off, and we're going to try it.
It's good. Can I bring some teenagers?
Sign up. Yep, we'll have a schedule to sign up.
That's good. Douglas.
Hi, Doug Valerio from Manatik Community Church, just south of Ottawa. It's been really interesting listening to other people and sort of what you're doing. We haven't gone to live streaming yet, but we actually had a live service last week, but we will be as of this coming week. And I guess my question is, in our church services every week we do communion. Now, I mean, a lot of the things we're talking about is great for praying, communicating, doing face-to-face, but how are we going to do communion together? What are other churches' experiences? Because that's usually a very something that we do together. Has anybody done communion, and how have you done it? That would be my question.
Sure. So I don't know if anyone with a good response to Douglas here, or if you want to respond on a chat to him, I think it'll be. It's interesting. I know that several churches that are still meeting in small groups, what they're doing is that they are using the prepackaged communion service that is completely sealed. And I don't know if you all seen this. It's got the bread and the juice, and it's completely prepackaged and separate. I also seen a church this Sunday that the servers were at the back serving people with gloves on. So that was also seen. So, but how do you do that when you're not meeting together? That's a good question, right? So, Ken Peters.
Hi, good morning, Elton. Thank you for this. This has been very helpful. We haven't started any streaming yet, and I'm interested from those who have this as a regular practice or who are just starting out on it. What types of guidelines could you provide so that we are not violating privacy issues?
Good. So if you have some answers for Ken, if you want to just respond in the chat there, it'd be really good. Ken, would you say more about some of the things that concern you in terms of privacy issues?
Well, I mean, oftentimes we have a smaller congregation, and so we are more family oriented, and it's not uncommon for myself or our lay preachers to be using a conversational style when we're preaching, which may include references to people's names and or situations. So I'm thinking that may have to go by the wayside if we're streaming.
Yeah, absolutely, right? Because now things that are in the net can stay there, be recorded over and over again by other people. You're just making this available. So yeah, some carefulness, I would imagine, it's necessary in that sense. Steve, you're next.
Yeah, thanks, Elton. Thanks, everyone. This has been really good. Just a couple of thoughts. Those prepackaged communion things, I personally have never been able to get the wafer out. So Delbert and I tried those a while ago, and I only got juice. I never got a wafer. I'm also a worship leader at our church, and I tell you, it was really, really difficult to lead to an empty building. So I would just encourage you to encourage your worship leaders or pray for them in some way, because you don't want it to be phony. I don't want to smile to nobody. But you want to be engaging for people that are watching. So that was a real challenge. The other thing I've said to people, and specifically to my mother, who doesn't like the church music that their church has done for years, I said, find your favorite CD and listen to it on the way to church. And then your heart is full. So if you're waiting for your favorite song on a Sunday, as a worship leader, I say this all the time. If you're waiting for your favorite song on a Sunday, what if you don't get it? Like, is your worship ruined? I mean, this is God's worship, not ours. So that is certainly a challenge. So Carrie, I think you were talking about how to do a live stream when you're ministering to different groups of people with different tastes or different styles of the service. That's definitely a challenge. So I would just encourage you to encourage your people. There's lots of great music on iTunes or YouTube or wherever. And I just recently put a Spotify and Apple Music playlist together for our church of encouraging worship music during this COVID-19 panic. So just ways that music can help is a real challenge, but I mean, your people can find it, that's for sure.
Yeah, thank you, Steve. That's really good. I saw a church actually that had the same situation with Carrie was talking about, and what they did is that they had two different set of songs that they actually found on already pre-recorded on YouTube or it was just a song list from Spotify. But they present and say, this is what we're going to sing in church this Sunday for this service. This is what we were going to sing in service this Sunday for that service. And all they did is one single message after that list of songs. So people could actually at the end, after hearing the message, just go to the songs that they would have sung together. So these are things, as we come to a close here, these are things that we'll discover more ways on how to be the church using technology. We are grateful for technology that it still allows us to connect like this. I think this meeting alone has been very meaningful to me to just connect with you and hear what's happening. So a couple questions that came in through the chat. The questions were if this is being recorded. It is. And I think we can forward this recording. Carson, is that to people that may?
Yeah, I think they can hear me on your mic, right? So I know there are privacy issues here. I understand that. But I think the best way that we can disseminate this information is to post this video to our ongoing COVID-19 MD Herald page. And unless there are objections, then please voice them here or send them to us. We wouldn't be able to get around to that until a bit later today, so there's time to do that. Alternatively, we can send it to the people gathered here, but ultimately, we wanted to get out to more people. So that's the plan.
So we are posting it. If you, unless there's any exceptions that to be made, but we are posting it, and then you'll be able to access it and have your team go through it as well. Thank you again. I encourage you to come back, specifically if there are senior leaders tomorrow as well. Come, bring your senior leaders with you. We will we'll be talking about being the church. So what's our missional responsibility? What is our pastoral responsibility? We're going to talk a bit about specific ministries in the church, including the children's ministry. How do we continue to, serve children during this time, and parents who now are at home with their children, or will be shortly at home with their children. So we will, and then we open it up again for ideas, great ideas that have come out of it. It helps to resource one another in this situation. I'm going to ask Marianne, would you mind praying for us as we close today?
Let's bow. God, you have said that even though the mountains tumble into the sea, you are God. And you have in your word that we are to be still and know that you are God. And so as we leaders, pastors, are looking for ways to calm the storms inside of people, inside their spirits and inside the households, help us to tap into the same listening to your heart that Jesus did, and to be able to find the right words, the right technology, the right spirit, so that we can help communicate that you are God and we are in your hands.
Yes.
Amen.
Amen. So I'm going to leave the meeting open for another 5 minutes, just so if you want to go through the whole chat, there's lots of conversation in there. You can just, turn off your video and then just read through the chat. And then 5 minutes from now, I will close this meeting. Be blessed. Know that God is in control and He will strengthen you through this. Peace be with you.